Hi all, coming to you from my car with a quick message about Auric Hygiene. That's a fancy word for maintaining our energy body, our toroidal field, the energy around us, our aura, all of that which is not necessarily seen but very much felt. Okay, and so what I've witnessed are two forms of actions that are not serving in terms of maintaining auric hygiene. So the first is what I've termed spilling energy. So when we're spilling energy from our energetic field, from our aura, there's this emanation of lower vibrational thought forms and energies. So this shows up in our lives in terms of like emotional dumping. And this is big because I think it's something we all do. I'm totally taking accountability. I've been there and I'm trying to catch myself when I'm doing this and it isn't serving. Okay, so emotional dumping is when there's a reaction to something that we're experiencing and it's difficult to integrate and process. And so for some of us, the first step is to emotionally dump, to spill our energy. And what we're doing is we're asking another to be the container for that. And that is not necessarily serving for the other person or for self. Okay, and here's why. Because when we're emotionally spilling, we're not taking accountability for what we experienced. We are just unleashing a lot of energy for someone else to then have to process, transmute, or sit with. And the other person who's acting as that container, when they do that, they're enabling as well. They're enabling that behavior to continue and almost saying this is an okay thing to do on the regular, which it's not. It's simply not helpful to do on a regular basis. There's a time and a place, absolutely. Yet I think it's helpful for us to be aware of when we are emotionally spilling energy and how that might affect our environment and those around us. Another good example, I feel, of spilling of emotional energy is to talk about the difficulties of the workday over and over and over again to a loving partner. Okay, so, or friend or family, whoever that you have in your life, if it's constant, if it's not solution-based, if it's endless or feeling endless, then is it fair to ask that person to contain that? And what we're also doing is we're welcoming that sort of energy into our environment without it going through any type of filter or process or integration. It's something that I think we've all been taught to do, yet we haven't been taught how to rein it in and focus it to solution-based approaches, or when is it helpful versus when is it not helpful. And that is on a spectrum of excess. There's, like I said, there's certainly a time and a place to share what's going on in your life, to see what the other person has to say, to also hold space for another who's going through a difficult time. Absolutely. Yet let's also be aware of when we're energetically spilling something of a lower vibration, negativity, hate, sadness, frustration, over and over again, and how that sits in our field, it sits in the other person's field, and it sits in our homes, our work environments, and pretty much has nowhere to go unless someone comes along and transmutes it. The other end of auric hygiene is the exact opposite, and this behavior is when the auric field is so contracted, so tightly maintained, that there's complete avoidance of welcoming in any type of energies or sharing and releasing what this person may want to share and release. My favorite example of like a closed off auric field is, like, I used to love to go to music festivals, and you know when you're at a music festival and it gets really good and the music is just like bumping and everyone's feeling it and the vibration of the whole place lifts up, how it's almost like an elation, and it's a unified elation, so it's really beautiful. Yet if the auric field is closed off, there's no understanding, there's no acceptance, there's no welcoming in of that type of energy. In fact, the experience is dulled a bit. It's not experienced to the full potential because the energy's held too close at hand. It's too much like having walls up to anything and everything. And additionally, it's hard for us to hold space for others, to share what's true and real for us with others when that energy body is so contracted. The energetic body does very well when it's expanded in nature, in natural surroundings, in healing environments. So that is one time when it's a great place to practice opening and expanding one's own auric field to receive the beautiful healing that the earth has for us all, because our energetic bodies are constantly receiving and sending information at the same time. So we're learning how to work with day in, day out, what it is that we're receiving and what is it that we're sending as well. So in terms of the emotional spilling, emotional dumping, energetic spilling, energetic dumping, the best thing that I can say in this moment in time is that I feel like we get to first take a neutral observer seat to whatever emotion it is that we're experiencing. Put ourselves front and center as if we're in a movie theater, watching the situation go down, watching both sides of the story play out without judgment, without needing to justify either behavior, and simply to observe, okay? Because we're learning how to manage situations and interactions in a way that better serves, so that we have awareness moving forward. So taking that neutral observer role first, so that we're not just having a reactivity and then calling up someone or just unleashing on whoever happens to be near us while we're trying to process this information. It doesn't mean we don't have to have difficult conversations at all, but it does ask for us to be more calm and centered when we initially encounter what it is that's been difficult for us to encounter. Okay, so that's a little bit about auric hygiene, about the two spectrums and how to somehow bring them together so that we're pulling in what's healing and healthy, and we're also emanating out what's healing and healthy, because we are responsible for the energy that we bring into our homes, our workplaces, and our relationships. So as we're learning and growing together, let's all be gentle with ourselves, with one another, because this can be a lot of difficult self-work. Yet wishing you nothing but the absolute highest and best for today and the days moving forward. We got this, soul family. We're all doing the best we can, and let's continue to grow, to evolve, and thrive. Much love.